It's like we never left. Just around 12 hours back, both Nikhil and I were here talking about that. Probably the second most exciting game of this Asia Cup, which had Sri Lanka qualify for the finals and Pakistan are unfortunately eliminated. So all you folks who were looking forward to a third India Pak game would be disappointed. But nevertheless, another day, another game, and we have India playing Bangladesh. Now, Bangladesh, of course, are out of this tournament already. India have been unbeaten. Yes, they have been unbeaten and have ticked more boxes. I have Nikhil with me. We will be soon joined by Gurkirat. I think he's doing some last minute mugging up so that he's properly prepared for this. So, Nikhil, how are you?
Very good. Also good to see TV on TV. And that is Tilak Verma making his ODI debut, which is, I feel very happy for him. But I'm sure once we hear the changes, we'll talk a bit more about it.
Yeah. Are there any other changes that you're looking forward to or you expect India to make?
Shami for Bumrah, Hardik Pandya rested for Shardul Thakur, and one of the top three going out for Tilak Verma. It could be top three. I don't see a sense of dropping Rahul. So if they drop Kishan for Tilak, pretty much a thing that we should have a lot of talk about. But I think those are the three changes I feel should happen, because I think Shreyas batted for a while in the nets, but I don't think they are just 100% sure with him. So let's see.
A couple of more thoughts. I mean, if let's say if Tilak is sort of playing in the middle order, which he should, do you expect them to rest an opener and actually have Kishan opening once more? Because he's also your alternate opener for the World Cup, right? If unfortunately something happens to your proper openers.
See, it's a very tricky thing to actually call on, because I feel there are only 4 games now left. 1 here and 3 then.
Yeah.
Whether you want to, how many games has Rohit played in this format continuously in the recent past? Not too many. Same for Gill. Gill has played more maybe, but you want Rohit, Virat, and Gill to just have a bit more time. They will be, I'm sure, we'll see Nasum and Shakib both bowl to India a lot, which is good. This is it's an important facet for India to cover. So I feel there is more to lose than to gain by that. And see, unless there is a chance of a niggle, then you rest them, completely fine with it. But if there isn't any, then you continue with the best possible combination that's there, at least in terms of the top 3, because they haven't had the kind of run that you want them to. Bumrah, you can understand that, yes, there is injury concerns, you want to manage workload. But I feel with top 3, it should not be the case. And Kishan also, he's batted 2 games in middle order. You really don't want him to go right up top and then face different challenges altogether. So, which is why I think Tilak swap, if it's for Kishan, then it's a straight swap there in terms of middle order spots.
Yeah, and we have people joining us as well in the comment section. Neural Hacks with Vasant, as usual, is here. He says, hello, Vasant. We have Pranav Anand, as always. I'm intrigued to see where Sushant is. We have not seen him in the last couple of games. Pranav Anand is saying, Tilak Verma playing could be a signal that Iyer's injury is not just a niggle. I would hope not. And he's saying Samson deserves a spot, but maybe Tilak Verma offers more. But yeah, I mean, that Samson debate is everlasting. While we wait for the toss, our man on ground, Bastap Parida, he shared us a video yesterday where Shreyas Iyer was batting on the nets. We will sort of display it for you guys while we wait and see what the 11 is like, because I think that would add a lot of value to this preview as well, because right now we can only speculate. So check this out. It's a very short clip. Nikhil, can you observe a stiff back from that from a 40-second clip?
Too little to read into. Pulled a couple decently, but you don't think it was the best positions for that, maybe. But again, it's really something that you can't make a lot of from that 47 clipper. And any which ways, we'll know. And Bangladesh have won the toss, which is
Oh,
okay. India
nice.
have won the toss. Nice. There's always something that's happening at the toss that you always feel that okay, you get it right, but you don't.
Yeah, and
So
India are
uh,
going first.
yeah, which is interesting. Of course, we'll get the quotes in terms of what they feel about it. But very keen to hear the changes and the reasonings for that, because
Hmm.
something Pakistan will also discuss a lot about their decision to bat first. We talked about it in the previous way, that how they were left high and dry by the change in conditions. So
Hmm.
and it's as Pranav Andan informs, it's the same pitch as the India Pakistan game. So
Yeah.
let's see. I think
So
see
that
now
means
I have got to a point where I heard that South Africa Australia was played on a repeat deck, and one team went on to score 350. So I really don't know what to expect from pitches now.
Yeah, I mean, this will be a good time to add Gurkirat as well to this stream. He's here waiting for us. Hello, Gurkirat. How are you? And how was the Galoti kebab last night?
Galati kebabs were good, but Akshay brought in Bangalore's traffic with him today. Uh, I just walked 25 minutes from the place that I dropped my car off to so that I can reach here. I'm
Oh,
so badly sweating, and Akshay was like, "कि Bangalore का traffic में छोड़ के आया and यहाँ हमें वो मिल गया." I'm like, I can't say anything, but
so
yes.
he's not carrying the best of Bangalore with him. He should have gotten the weather, but instead he's gifted you the traffic.
No, weather's actually nice. So it
Oh,
also rained last night, so the weather was nice. But
amazing.
traffic, I don't know what happened today.
All right. Do you expect any changes, Gurkirat, in India's 11 while we wait for it?
See, this is the kind of game where actually, even if India play the same 11, or even if they experiment, there's logic for both. Because the logic for playing the same 11 is you want to give game time to those who have not really had that game time, and you want to gel together as a unit. At the same time, if India gives, say, game time to Shami, uh, maybe even if they rest Hardik or Jadeja, there's sense for it. If they want to play Sky, there's still reasonable explanation for that, because these players are there in your squad, so you want to try them out. So I'm okay with either ways, like because there is reasonable logic for
Hmm.
both moves. This is that kind of a game.
So, by the way, India make 5 changes. So Tilak Verma comes in, Sky Sky comes in, Shami comes in, Prasidh Krishna comes in, and one more. I'm hoping that one more might be Shardul. We are still waiting for the confirmation on it. Oh, we have it already on the bottom ticker. So Kohli, Hardik, Bumrah, Siraj, Kuldeep, all rested. So
That's four
okay,
changes.
so 5 changes. So
Okay, yeah,
Tilak Verma comes
right.
in for Kohli, Shardul comes in for Hardik, Prasidh comes in for Siraj, Shami comes in for Bumrah, and who else? Who else? There's one more change. Kuldeep is rested. Sky comes in, so extra batter, but they already have both Aksan and Jadeja in the 11. So Nikhil, what do you make of those changes?
Yeah, this is proper Jai Mata Di. And more so because you're going to bat under lights, you're bowling first. Uh, Interesting also to see, because usually India haven't used their bowlers best in terms of using left arm spin to left-handed batters. They have two today, and Bangladesh have a decent amount of left-handed batters. So very keen to see what the plans are there. Because with no Kuldeep, while you have Shardul to save you at many occasions, but Kuldeep is the one who's been the guy who's been able to exert a lot of pressure
Hmm.
for the bad shots or the risks to come off others. But now that is not the case. So very keen to see their bowling plans as well, that who pairs with whom in the middle over, so that they are able to extract something. I think this is a massive game for Akshar Patel, because I feel if Akshar Patel doesn't get going with the ball, very early thoughts, but he could go out for even someone like Tilak. If Tilak bowls today, and I'm sure he will bowl today, because that's why you are playing him for. You wanted some bowling, so I know it. I don't think it will be fair on Akshar, but I don't think he's done enough to always say that I deserve, I'm a complete lock-in. So I think that there will be some pressure there on Aksar to come good.
Yeah, while that's an interesting point, this gives me those Deepak Hooda kind of memories that you're sort of
Yeah,
slotting someone in just because you expect him to bowl. Gurgat, coming to you, do you think this is a game that Kohli probably would have benefited playing, because Bangladesh have two slow left arm bowlers, and that is one type of bowling that Kohli has lost his wicket to. I'm not saying he's not scored enough runs against spinners in ODIs, because he has, but I think almost all of his dismissals to spin in the past couple of years have only come against slow left arm bowlers. You're
In
on mute,
fact,
by the way. Yeah.
so that is one of the matchups that I was looking forward to. And what I'm surprised by is that Shreyas is still not playing. So maybe that spasm is a cause of concern now. The other thing that also I don't agree with is I don't know if how like what is the logic behind playing Tilak and Prasid. I understand if you play those players who are part of your World Cup squad, but those who haven't made it to the World Cup squad, if they are playing right now, then I think you are opening yourself to various kinds of pressure from outside. If Tilak has a very good game today, right, then what happens? Or if Prasidh
Hmm.
Krishna has a very good game today, or Prasidh Krishna outbowls Shami, then what happens?
Hmm.
Because some I don't believe that the outside noise doesn't affect team selections. We have seen enough examples that it does, and it is now going to bring up those doubts, or bring up those ideas that you really don't want to entertain at this point of time. So I'm not entirely convinced with the move to play Prasid and Tilak Varma. Otherwise, it's fine, but I would have liked Kohli to play because I was looking forward to his battle versus the left arm spinner that Bangladesh have. And given that it's a used pitch, which could be slower, uh, would have been a good test for someone like Kohli.
Nikhil, do you agree with both those thoughts? I mean, playing two players who are not in your World Cup squad. I know. I mean, we sort of focus a lot on Indian cricket, but this is something which is going around everywhere. If you look at what Australia are doing, or what England are doing, or New Zealand are doing, every team is at this point of time playing players who are not in their World Cup squad. But from an Indian lens, do you agree in testing those two players, or you've already given a theory for Tilak Verma? But what about Prasid? And secondly, I mean, the same question about Kohli. Would you have rather preferred him to play this game?
always 100%. We just discussed this before. We had that changes in that. I felt that given the problem that you have with left arm spin troubling your batters, they are two playing today, and there is no reason for you to rest him. He's had enough rest. See, there is one thing about giving rest to people who've continuously played a lot of games and been under pressure, and then you feel that okay, they deserve a rest, which is fine. Or a guy like Bumrah who's coming back from a long layoff, and you don't want to rush him. But
Hmm.
I don't think Virat, just as I said, Virat, Rohit, and Gill, there is no reason to give rest to any of them
Hmm.
because they want to get that batting time in. And Australia series is not going to be that easy. It may be on good batting decks also, but it is not going to be a cakewalk for you to get into World Cup
Hmm.
thinking that okay, see, he scored 100, which is great. It's nobody's doubting Kohli's capabilities here. But if there
Yeah.
is something that you can work on in a dead rubber game, where else would you want to do that? I mean, why would
Hmm.
you not
Hmm.
want to opt for
Yeah.
that? So, and as
Absolutely.
Padi said, what if Prasidh Krishna comfortably outbowls Mohammad Shami? What are you going to think then? That and to be very honest, you give the management all benefit of doubt, but sometimes it's these unnecessary changes that can put a doubt in your mind, and then you eventually want to go with a last we saw of him. He was actually very good. Huh? So maybe we should continue with him. And then it's very tough to, like we talked about Kishan. The moment Kishan did well against Pakistan, all of India suddenly wanted Kishan over KL Rahul. You are
Hmm.
not helping, not going to help your cause unless you are 100% sure that no matter what happens, this is my 11 and there will be no changes.
Hmm.
Another thing
Good.
that I want to point out, this is in direct contrast with the statement that was given before the Asia Cup. हम सिर्फ मजे के लिए एक्सपेरिमेंट नहीं करते. Now this
Hmm.
playing of those two players who are not in that 15, it is pretty much that. It is pretty much that because again, uh, like at this point of time, if Tilak Verma has the perfect game, say he even bowls 6, 7, 8 overs and does well, it is going to bring up a lot of that conversation again. Oh, we don't have batters in the top five who can bowl. Why cannot we have Tilak Verma, etc., etc.? It's just creating confusion for one own self.
Mm. Yeah, I just I want to play devil's advocate here. I see a reasoning behind playing Tilak Verma, to be honest, because considering Shreyas Iyer has not recovered as well as everyone would have liked him to. Now, let's say he's not fit in the World Cup. Sky is not an automatic choice. I mean, management would want him to be an automatic choice, but he's not nailed that spot. So they might still want to sort of experiment with both Sky and Tilak. But on the other hand, we all know that Ishan Kishan is already there as Shreyas Iyer's replacement.
Precisely.
So that is, I mean, so again, the point is we keep coming back to something that Ishan Kishan is not a natural number 5. So they still want to keep their options open. B, regarding Prasidh Krishna, the point is, injuries to fast bowlers are inevitable. The point is, if you look at other teams right now, hardly any team have all their first choice players fit because teams hardly play ODIs right now. It's few and far. Players are not used to bowling 10 overs a day as they were used to like 4 years ago. So, I mean, they're just keeping their options open that let's say there is an injury later on during the tournament, the players are match ready. So that might be the only reason for them to try this out. But yeah, I mean, there are, I think, cases to be made across both the spectrums. Moving on, I just want to talk about Bangladesh a bit now. Do you think Bangladesh should stick with the experiment that they've started with Mehdi as the opener, or do you think that given Liton Das is now back in the squad, he should be the one opening?
See, on this panel, there's Nikhil, there's been me. We've been saying that Liton Das, since he's come back, he should be opening, and that's his best spot because he can also play pace well. Yes, Mehdi Hassan has delivered in one of the games, but you really can't get very can't get rigid about it. Right, there is a sometimes your moves can work, but if you have better suited batters to play in those positions, you might as well play them there, right? You sometime I mean, you can send a batter up top to slog and have him as a low value wicket in T20s, but in ODIs you have to be very careful about it because at the end of the day, even if you send a low wicket up top and that wicket is lost, there is still some pressure, there is some scoreboard pressure. If you are chasing a target like how Afghanistan were doing versus Sri Lanka, where they had to chase that 290 in 37 overs, at that point of time, to me, it made sense that they had sent Naib in because they had to chase that target with the required rate of 8 in hand. But especially when you are setting up an innings or batting first, I'm not sure it is the best strategy always, unless you really know that scoring is going to get tougher in the second half, etc., etc. Batting is going to become completely difficult. I'm not sure it's a strategy that is a foolproof strategy or that will always have upsides. It can also have downsides to it with your more experienced batters always coming in a situation where they first have to do a job of resurrection and then consolidation. So that's where I stand on it.
Hmm. Bangladesh had to make one force change. Of course, Mushfiqur Rahim was ruled out of this game, and they brought in Anamul Haq. In his place, also the opener Mohammad Naeem is missing. Nikhil, if we just look at the game and forget about the larger context, do you think the two teams have sort of read the pitch differently? Bangladesh are essentially they're playing 4 proper spinners,
That's
and
what I
India,
said. No, I don't think
yeah, India have dropped their
India.
premium, not dropped, rested their premium spinner.
Yeah, but India also have a part-timer who's has a hat trick in the Indian Premier League, rolling his arm over in the net. So I will not be surprised if that guy bowls
Oh,
and
we are
if
going
he
in that
manages to
direction now.
uh, because see, we have 5 frontline bowlers on paper. You will see somebody bowl. Rohit was trying to bowl, was practicing. Uh, Somewhere I read Surya is likely to bowl. Tilak should bowl because there are enough lefties in each ways in Bangladesh setup. So I think it's very good time to see. I think both teams have looked at it very differently in terms of let's look at what are the holes that we can plug in and then see how it bats because a lot of people are going to bat out of position. Surya is slated to bat at 3. I don't think he's ever going to bat at 3 ever. But he could come off. So
Yeah. So actually, this is one question that I wanted to ask both of you. How would you construct the 11 today in terms of your batting order? So we can start with Gurkirat.
Yeah, I'd have Tilak at three. Given you have two right-handed batters, you now that you're playing, you have two left-handers. You'd rather split them up accordingly. You have Tilak at three. KL Rahul stays at four. Ishan Kishan at five. Surya Kumar Yadav at six. Akshar Patel at seven. And yeah, that because I think India have tried Surya Kumar Yadav as a number four. It has not worked. And one of the reasons I feel they have selected him over Sanju Samson is because they feel he can provide that impetus to the innings in the last 15. Now, if you're looking at someone who can bat in the last 15, then you must try out that player in, at number six or number five. So that's how I'll keep the batting order. KL Rahul at four because amongst those who are playing, if you leave out the two openers, he's the most proven and experienced middle order batter. And if you are that player, then by default you should be batting number four, and the rest should bat around you. And it goes without saying, but it might be a dead rubber, but this is a very 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 important game for Surya Kumar Yadav. If he doesn't click today, uh, it's going to be very difficult for him to find a spot in that Australia series, and he could very well sort of shut his chances to to play in the 11 in the World Cup game as well. Because today he doesn't score runs, a lot of pressure will also be on the coach and the captain that you've chosen to back someone who's not being able to score runs in a dead rubber against Bangladesh. What do you expect? He's not scored runs against other teams as well. Very I, I think the minimum score that Surya Kumar Yadav needs today is a 50. Minimum.
So, I mean, Nikhil already alluded to the point that it will be a huge game for Akshar Patel. So, who do you think it's a bigger game for, Sky or Akshar?
I feel it's still a bigger game for Surya Kumar Yadav because Akshar still has some credit in the bank given he scored important runs in the last game. Last year he had decent performances versus West Indies, did something with the bat. Surya Kumar Yadav hasn't done anything of note. Uh,
Hmm.
it is an important game for both, and Akshar might just lose the claim to be in the 11 ahead of Jadeja if he. And I think it's a for Akshar it is far more important that he bowls well than he bats well, because his batting pedigree has been noticeable across formats. It's his bowling which is struggling. So if he, I think he'll need a 2 for 40 performance at the very
Hmm.
least. If
So,
not, a 1 for 50 will also not work for Akshar.
but Nikhil, I mean, what Gurkirat is saying that Akshar has some credit in the bank because of how he batted. But do you feel Akshar would be able to keep his place in the squad, let alone the 11, if he's not bowling well?
exactly, that's what my point was. That if Tilak ends up scoring well and he
Yeah.
gets more chances in the Australia series, then at this point of time, the differential is the wickets that Akshar Patel is giving you, not the batting. And
Hmm.
as much as we love wanting to use Akshar higher up the order, we know it's not going to happen. But if Tilak Verma is promoted higher up the order, and he's someone who, on paper, to us, in our opinion, also looks better to combat spin as compared to Ishan Kishan, then there is a direct option of just using Tilak Verma instead of Ishan Kishan in that squad. And if Shreyas
Hmm.
is not fit, you could potentially see KL batting at 4, and you have Tilak batting at 5. So I think in
Hmm.
that sense, Akshar's batting has not been the problem for me. Akshar's wicket taking form, and more than the wicket taking form, it's the lack of threat. I don't think in the last few times, in last few games, you've seen Akshar being you see him creating chances. I think that's where the problem lies with me for Akshar, that uh, you are not beating the bat enough. So there are some times when you'll end up with this figures of 32 for 1 or 30 for no loss, but you've created enough chances. You beat the bat enough. At this point of time, I don't think that's happening with Akshar.
Yeah, Akshar Patel is one player. We are sort of trying to do a research on that why his bowling numbers have suddenly gone downhill. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
lots of demand for this in the comments, and I would have anyway come back to it. So, do you agree with Gurkirat's batting order, or would you make any other changes, Nikhil?
No, no. For this time, my answer is not the same, because I think there is a lot more to test, given the changes that they have made. So I think in the order that was mentioned on the broadcast, I think it is probably going to be the same. that your openers remain the same in Rohit and Gill, but one of Surya and Tilak will definitely bat at 3 and the other bats at 4. You hold back KL Rahul and Ishan Kishan as your bank. Again, have to remember they are going to chase here. And if conditions are where that batting is easier in the second innings, then there is no reason for them to change the batting even more. But even if it is not, I still think you have played them to see what they offer to you. There is nothing that they'll offer to you at 6 and 7 that you will be able to make a call. So I think in that sense, they'll probably have to give them game time. I'm also very keen to see how they use. You expect Prasid and Shami to open the bowling now. So in that case, also slight role change. Maybe I want to see how Akshar Patel is used here, and how do you bowl in the end overs? Because
Hmm.
there is no option of the third option here in terms of Hardik Pandya. So does Shardul partner Prasid at the end, or is Shami's over also kept for the end? So I think there is a lot to look for that how they are used. So I think that will be my order: Rohit Gill, Tilak, Sky, Tilak, KL Rahul, Ishan Kishan, and then Jadeja Aksar, Shardul, Shami, Prasid Krishna. Same as the broadcast, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it is very tough to remember the kind of batting depth that India are playing today. I mean, when was the last time India had a proper batter? Not a proper batter, but at least a very decent batter at number 9. But they, of course, sort of sacrificed a bowling option there. So,
Yeah.
Gujarat sticking to Sky now. You two sort of disagree. Nikhil will have Sky at 4, and you sort of have him at 6. Now, is this the same headache that Indian management have had with Sky? Because the point is they want to play Sky because of his potential. But are they have they found it difficult? And has Sky himself found it very difficult to sort of identify a role for him? Now, in all likelihood, when you have your keeper sorted, the keeper bats at 5, and the number 4 spot is sort of available for Sky because you already have 6 and 7 as Hardik and Jadeja. But somehow people feel that Sky is much better as a finisher because that's his game. So moving forward, post this World Cup later on, do you think it would be we can actually see a swap between him and Hardik, where Hardik becomes a number 4, something that he is sort of aspiring to be, and Sky becomes a regular number 6 for India? Do you think there is a potential there?
A lot of it would depend upon how the World Cup goes. Like, I'm assuming that Virat will still play post the World Cup. So that means 3 and 4 would be Virat and Shreyas, and KL Rahul will be there. So if these three are there, then it really becomes difficult for Hardik to even bat higher. So that is there. And coming to the first part of your question about if that is the headache with the management, I believe so, because there is merit in him batting in the middle order as well, because a lot of spin would be bowled in the middle overs, and he's someone who's very adept against playing spin. He's also very good against leg spin, against which a few of our right handers
Hmm.
do struggle with. But at the same time, I think his problem has been that he's not been able to figure out that tempo. His problem has been that he doesn't know, or he's not been able to figure out at what time does he want to take those risks, enhance that risk taking, and at what time does he want to rotate that strike. So he's constantly, I feel, battling in his mind, figuring out that should I now look to take a single, or should I look at a boundary option. And that can be the case with players who sometimes have more than one option to face a delivery. When you have a wide range of shots, sometimes you can get stuck in between your own brilliance. You're not really sure, and it has happened with the likes of Maxwell. At one point of time, it was happening with Josh Butler as well, where because you had too many shots, you weren't really not sure, how you wanted to approach that innings. And
Hmm.
I think the lack of fortune in terms of Surya Kumar Yadav's case has been that he has started to get regular chances in a World Cup year, and not really before that. If this was happening in 2021, maybe a bigger rope could have been allowed to him with far lesser pressure. But with the World Cup being so close,
Yeah.
obviously the scrutiny is going to be there, and then you have
Hmm.
a lot of competition because there's Sanju who's doing decently. So
Yeah.
all of it just adds a lot more demons to your mind, where you're really not sure how you want to proceed with your innings construction.
Hmm. Okay, so I mean, it's that time of the show that we move towards the prediction from both of you. Nikhil, what do you think? How much will India be? asked to chase by Bangladesh.
They nearly got 241 right yesterday. 252 it was. Uh, Hoping it's a better deck, and then with that in mind, going with 258, so that you get to see a good chase. India will want to keep it below 200, but think we should hopefully we get 258, so we get a good game.
What about you, Gurkir?
I'm looking forward to a good Bangladesh batting performance because that really hasn't happened in this Asia Cup so far, except for that one game. So I'm hoping that Bangladesh are able to set a total around 270. You know, could be 5-10 runs on the either side, and that would mean that India also, as a team which is chasing, is getting tested because there will be help with the new ball. India chasing for the first time, uh, in like they chased against Nepal, but against bigger teams they're chasing for the first time, which is a good test before the final because you really don't know if you'll win the toss in the final. So I want it to be a challenging chase for India, and uh, them coming out on top, because that way they will carry forward a lot of confidence towards the final on Sunday and subsequently to the World Cup.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, and before we end this, whoever is watching, please do like this video. I just want to wrap up with a couple of comments. Tarun is pointing out the fact that Australia just hand out debuts to Aaron Hardy and Jason Sangha, which is something that we alluded to in the preview a few minutes back, that other teams are also sort of doing it because nobody has a fit squad at the moment. England would love to have a Jofra Archer. Australia are mulling about if Maxwell and Stephen would be fit in time, not to mention the Pacers. But before we end, I just want to take this question. Now, this is something which is quite obvious to some people, but some people still find it difficult to wrap their head around. Now, either of you, whoever has a stronger opinion on this, why I mean, just explain to Deepa out there that why is it important to have 6 bowling options?
Please go on, Moot. Yeah.
It's an insurance policy in some ways, because if you cannot expect that all of your top five bowlers will have a decent enough day on each day, then uh, what people need to realize is that cricket is perhaps the only sport that is so much governed by the conditions that you play in, that some of your good players can be rendered absolutely useless without no fault of their own. Yesterday's game is a good example.
Yeah.
Before the rain break, batting was difficult. After the rain break, batting became far easier. So sometimes that can happen, that in the second innings there is far more help, and if the pitch is a placid one where there's absolutely no grip on offer, then even your best of spinners can be rendered useless, and you want to go to someone like a Hardik who has the pace and can even bowl that heavy ball or that bouncer. So having that insurance policy or having that variety always helps. And sometimes your fifth bowler who's there may not always be a bank or a guarantee that he will each and every day give you 10 overs. In 2019 World Cup, India did play in the semi-finals with Hardik and Jadeja both bowling 10 overs, but that Hardik and Jadeja were far different than what they are right now. So having an insurance policy always helps. It's all about that. Similarly, you could say that okay, six batters and one keeper can work. On most days it can work, but an insurance policy at number 8 allows that top 6 or the top 7 to bat a little more freely. It's all about insurance policy always helps regardless of what field it is.
Mm. And also, at times, your sixth bowler can also be a matchup bowler. I mean, usually you will select your strongest five, but that cannot cover all the matchups, and you need one more option for a particular partnership or a particular player. So I think
And
Deepak probably.
just to
It
no, just
doesn't
to
allow
add,
mid-game substitutions. If there is
yeah.
injury, then what?
Yeah,
And also just to add to the point about some we talked about this before as well, that why do you want that extra batting option at number 8? Just look back at the last game India played. Look at the runs Akshar Patel scored. That is condition dependent extra batting option that did not work out for you with the ball, but it gave you enough runs in a low scoring game to just have that bit of cushion. So that's where it's important to. And again, these in an ideal world, 5 batters, 5 bowlers do the job, but we don't live in that one.
yeah.
So so many factors to consider, and matchup, pitch, and everything. you want an additional two options which can work out for you on some days.
Yep. Hopefully, we have sort of answered your question, Deepak. With that, I think we are towards the end of the show because first ball is about to be bowled. Nikhil Gurkirat, we'll see you properly in the mid innings. Yeah, game mid innings.
Yeah.
So we'll catch up again soon. Hopefully, there is no rain intervention.
Inshallah. Cheers.